Hello and welcome back to FlowState. I hope you've had a tremendously empowered, aligned, clear, and fully engaged week. Welcome to FlowState. Welcome to Everyday Action. My name is Eric. Ooh, I just saw a bunny. So, thank you very much to everyone who dropped in on yesterday's Thursday Live, Optimization and Refinement. As you know, for those who dropped in, this is an integral part of growth, an integral part of creating more momentum, refined momentum in your life, progress. This is the magic unlock that once you work through the framework, you have the capacity to understand how you can leverage certain things to really amplify the work that you're doing in whatever focus you are working on in that moment, whether it's personal, work, social, fitness, health and wellness, whatever it is. It gives you an opportunity to pull those levers and to ensure that you're actually moving in the direction with authority, with conviction, with clarity, with structure, and understanding that optimization and refinement is such a powerful tool, is such a opportunity to really compound on all of the work that came before it. Today, this week's focus is all about commencement, or totality of integration of everything that we've been working towards over the past 7 weeks. This marks our 8th week within the cycle, the content rhythm that we flow naturally here on Everyday Action. And I'll go through what the framework is for those who are just joining us for the first time, for those who have never dropped into a FlowState episode. First and foremost, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for taking the time to drop in and to invest in yourself. There's so many opportunities for distraction. There are so many polarities pushing and pulling people in different seasons of life, and investing in yourself, taking time from your day to invest in yourself to get clarity on various aspects of your life is going to serve you not only in today, but for your future you. This is a lot of the work that we do, is getting grounded, getting clarity on where we are, and then building from that clarity, building from that awareness. So our weekly rhythm centers around the Growth Blueprint curriculum, which is a framework that I train and coach on. It's what I guide my clients through on a weekly basis. And everybody starts at ground zero. So it's a 12-week coaching program, a one-on-one coaching program. And regardless of where you are in life, we all start at the same place. We start with awareness. We get clarity on where we are in our life, and that will look differently for where your focus has been, what you're looking to improve upon. All of these things really get clear when we go through this clarity process, and it's about grounding ourselves in the present moment. It's not about bringing the past into the present. It's not about looking into the future. It's really just getting clarity on where you are currently in this season of life. Because without that, there's really no basis for growth. There's no real concrete, measurable foundation that we can build from. After we get clarity, we move into vitality. If you've been here before, you know how I feel about vitality, and it's simply not the process of exercise. It's way more than that. It's about recovery. It's about rest. It's about nutrition. It's about supplementation. It's about driving clarity in where it is that you need to focus your attention, and furthermore, creating a foundation for which you will be able to grow fully. Oops, this is a little bit, whoa, okay. It's been raining a lot here. Oh, fuck. That was a major fuck. Oh well. One soggy foot on the path. Let me get it out of this. Woo! Ah. All right. We're cruising. A little scenic. Man, the ocean is extremely active today. It's been raining. It's been storming. This is like the most beautiful day after what feels like has been a relentless spout of rain and clouds. Oh, feels so good to be out though, I can tell you. When it's raining a lot and there's no real access to outdoor activities, I mean, obviously you can go out in the rain, but I think you'd agree that being out in the sun is a little bit more enjoyable. So, where was I? Yeah. If you're still here with me, all the new people, FlowState is the process of me recording more or less an hour episode every week that correlates to the weekly content rhythm, which is the growth blueprint framework, right? The curriculum. And there's no real script. There's just one central theme, which is our week and what we're focusing all of our content on, and the educational framework to be able to help move you forward in a meaningful way. Ooh, man, this is so swampy. Whoa. The river is a-flowing. Oof. Ah. It's not great having soaked. There's so much water. This is just coming out of the mountain. It's pretty epic. So, my point is that sometimes I lose my train of thought. Sometimes there's just dead air when I'm, whatever, not feeling it. But it's a representation of reality. It's not a contrived, edited podcast. This is really about capturing a moment in time and flowing with it. So welcome again, and thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in yourself. And drop in the comments where you're tuning in from right now. And I should also mention, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. If you're struggling in different areas of your life, drop them in the comments. I respond to all comments, and I answer questions live on the podcast that are relevant to everyone, where we can uplift the human experience for everyone by answering these questions, by discussing in real time my thoughts on what people are going through. Because the reality is most people share overlapping themes, especially those who are focused on personal growth, personal development, really looking to show up in a way that amplifies the human experience for yourself and the people in your life. I really focus on supporting parents as my primary focus. I'm a parent, I have 2 kids, and I know what it's like to feel that subtle drift, the loss of identity that is so powerful when you give yourself up for so many years to your children, and that requirement is very often the catalyst for what is referred to as a slow drift of identity, where you don't really notice it, but it's subtly happening until one day you wake up and you feel somewhat empty. And you shouldn't feel this way, because you have your family, you have the love of your life, your partner, your kids, and even though that there's a lot going on in everyone's life, That's what happens when it gets a little wet going down this mountain. It gets a little slippery and a little risky. And so the work that I support people in centers around identity. Our focus is really driving clarity, structure, and momentum. But when we zoom out a little bit, it's about identity. That is the macro view of the work, the curriculum, the focus, the purpose, to drive identity back into your life in a way that reflects who you are at your best. And it is not based on motivational hacks or hype or anything like that, which is why my one-on-one clients work with me through 3-month cycles or 90-day or 12 weeks, because it is really a matter of time, effort, and the compounding nature of consistent work that really drives those breakthroughs, that really drives those aha moments. Oh, you know what I just realized? I don't know if I can change this. I hope noise canceling is on. Okay, good. It's super wavy. Obviously, you can see it, but the audio sometimes gets a little challenging if the noise cancellation is not on. Anyways, so let's go back to the framework. We'll just recap with focus. I'm not going to deviate too much now. Awareness, getting clarity on where you are currently, what challenges you're facing, right? Just really getting clear. It's not about fixing anything. It's not about changing anything. It's not about this idea of, it's like what you're looking to create. It's not about that. It's about just where are you right now. And again, I'll say it again because it's so vitally important. Without this understanding, without this clarity, we have no frame for growth. It's growth from what? And so it's an important process in personal development that I think is really overlooked. And it seems so obvious, like, when someone asks you how you're doing, the default is fine, or it's just like a complacent representation of reality. It's not necessarily reflecting your truth. And so during this clarity process, during this awareness process, you get to the core of your truth, and there's no escaping it. And if you're really committed to personal development and growth, there's no, running away from the reality that you develop, that you have been living in these particular patterns of life, depending on whatever season you are in. And so that's step one. Step two is vitality. Again, vitality is not just about movement, it's about rest, it's about recovery, which are two different things. Supplementation, nutrition, understanding how everything really comes from your capacity to create energy for yourself. If you're not creating energy for yourself, you're not going to have the bandwidth to be able to effectively handle life and all of its complexities. I should also mention that a key pillar within the vitality course is sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Now, depending on what kind of season you're in, whether you have a newborn or if your kids are, going into their teenage years and everything in between, sleep is a non-negotiable requirement for success. And so many people have this badge of honor of like 4 hours sleep, 2 hours of sleep, this and that. And that is a perfect recipe for burnout. That is a perfect recipe for emotional instability, irrational thinking, your cognitive ability to sustain mental load, in addition to every fucking thing you're doing in your life. If you do not get your sleep dialed in, you are leaving so much on the table. It is the most important vitality focus that anyone can engage in. I would much rather see you train less and sleep more. I would much rather you prioritize sleep than anything else with regards to the vitality framework, because it is truly the magic solution to basically everything. And I know it may come across as like, well, I don't believe you, or I'm going to challenge you. Do your own research, okay? This comes from years of data that has been affirmed over and over and over again. For example, you can go weeks without food, weeks. You sitting there in that chair now probably have at least 1,000 hours worth of reserve energy in your fat. And you could be lean, you could be muscular, whatever, like you get overweight, and it varies, but on average, people that live in the West, Western countries, have approximately about 1,000 hours worth of energy stored. Now, it doesn't mean you're gonna go climb Mount Everest after not having eaten for 2 weeks, but you're not gonna die. If you stop sleeping within your third day of no sleep, you are in critical danger of your entire system collapsing on itself. And it doesn't start there. It started after missing your first night of sleep. Your cognitive function is completely compromised. Your ability to rationalize, think, is degraded to the point where anything that is challenging becomes extra challenging. And my point is that there is a structure in which you can live that prioritizes things that you know are serving you and are deprioritizing things that you know that are not serving you. And if you know that sleep is the catalyst for feeling good the next day, why would you do anything to compromise that? Consistently, on an ongoing basis. Of course, there's extenuating circumstances, different parties, different events, different things, traveling across the world, whatever it is. And I'm not talking about those one night of bad sleep. I'm talking about consistently grinding to some bullshit, stupid fucking metric that getting 4 hours, 5 hours, even 6 hours of sleep regularly is going to give you what you need. You're leaving so much on the table. It's like doing a business deal and taking the first offer that comes up and not even considering the fact that they'd be willing to pay twice as much. You know? All of that extra cash is just being left on the table. So could you imagine if you fall into that category of getting like 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep a night? Could you imagine what 1 or 2 more hours would do to your capacity for better output? If you think less sleep is better, that is a fallacy, my friend. That makes zero scientific sense. You're leaving so much on the table, and you're actually working twice as hard because your body is not able to support what it is that you're pushing it through. Now, I get that sleep can be extremely challenging. Listen, I have 2 kids, 9 and 12. I remember those days, the newborn phase, the years of, sleepless nights, etc. And it's brutal. But there are things that you can do that keep that priority in check. You can take a nap when your kids take a nap. And yes, that means something else has to be removed from that time that you would have otherwise done it. And I can tell you, in specific seasons of life, you are better served by investing in your sleep than depleting your reserves, because you're not going to show up in the way you want to. You're going to be more irritable. Your hormones are fucked up. You're going to be not the best version of yourself. And we're looking for that. We're looking for that peak performance, and it starts with sleep. I know that was a massive rant on sleep, but it's like one of those things that people just don't fundamentally understand. And when they do, when they click, when something happens, it's like an internal, oh yeah, sleep. Get fucking enough sleep. And the statistics are clear. Adults need anywhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And that's a pretty big window. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. But between 7 and 9 hours of sleep on a regular basis. We can do things to amplify our natural rhythm, like waking up at the same time, going to bed at the same time. And sleep starts, you guessed it, with your evening routine. Your morning routine starts the night before. Your day starts the night before. Everything starts with your evening routine. Everybody's so fucking obsessed with the morning routine. Fuck your morning routine. It's all about the evening routine. If you want to start a morning routine and you want to get it locked in and you want to do a bunch of shit before everybody wakes up, great, rock on. I love it. But it starts the night before, okay? It's all about regulating your circadian rhythm as much as possible and promoting sleep, restorative, deep fucking sleep. That's the main focus. All right, enough of that. After vitality, after the restructuring of your capacity to generate energy, no one's going to generate the energy. You are responsible for generating your own energy, just like you are responsible for where you are in your life right now. Yes, certain things may have happened. Yes. There are other factors at play. Yes. But it's not this big fucking conspiracy. There's circumstance, situational things that are outside of your control. But where you are currently in your life right now, when you're listening to me, is 100% your doing. And I know that might be challenging for some. And I know people may get triggered by that. But there's no denying it. There's no escaping it. You are 100% responsible for where you are currently in your life. The way you think about things, the actions that you take, the actions that you do not take, your relationship with yourself, everything. The buck stops with you. No massive conspiracy is pushing you in one way or another way. The jobs you choose, the schools you go to, the people you hang out with, these are all 100% your responsibility. And the challenge for most is swallowing that pill, because a lot of people love to blame anything else other than to take responsibility for their actions, for their inactions, etc. So you need the energy to fucking confront the day. You need the energy to seize the day. Carpe diem. The truth is that you are responsible for creating the version of you that best serves your interests. So not everybody should be themselves. And what I mean by that is that maybe an authentic version of you is sitting on the fucking couch, eating ice cream, and watching Netflix all day. Do you think if you showed up as that person consistently that you'd be anywhere other than that fucking couch right now? Fuck no. Do you think that that version of you is really the best version of you? Fuck no. That means that the authentic version of you needs to be challenged, needs to be redefined, needs to be pushed aside in order for you to create momentum in your life. Clarity, structure. Because if that authentic representation of you is there indulging in the fucking Haagen-Dazs or whatever, and if you're showing up authentically as yourself, Well, maybe that's not serving your interests. Some people shouldn't be their authentic self. Some people need to conjure up the best version of what they have, the best version of their capacity to be able to challenge themselves, to be able to push themselves, even just to go to work. But you know what? That's progress. That's actually leveraging something that you know you're capable of doing. And when you fucking show up and when you do it, wow, woo! It's like a wave of energy and momentum just permeates through every cell in your body. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That there is really a profound breakthrough, because without that awareness, it'll just be that authentic representation of the self, whatever that means for some. And other people, that could be my authentic representation is waking up at 4 in the morning, going for a 10-mile hike, whatever, and then crushing a day at the office. And that's what they do. That's what they want to do. They don't want you don't want a family, or you don't even want a relationship in that particular season of life. And they're both structurally out of balance. And I think there's also a massive misconception in life that you want balance in your life. You want balance in your life. You want balance in your life. I'm challenging that notion, because balance is mediocre shit. Balance means that you're just doing everything to the bare minimum standard and not actually giving yourself the opportunity for growth. Structural, intentional imbalance is what drives momentum forward, okay? And what I mean by that, what do I mean by that? I mean this. Imagine your life segmented into 4 quadrants: work, family, social, health. That's basically it. That's it. That's your life right there. Now you have 4 quadrants. Imagine you have a valve that opens up water, and each one of these quadrants is a bucket. What do you think happens if you open all 4 valves to maximum, 10? The water fills into the bucket and inevitably overflows. How does that feel to you when every element of your life is overflowing, gushing? Not in a abundance kind of way, but more like a burnout kind of way. More like your fucking nervous system is operating in fight or flight mode constantly, because there's no clear direction. Everything is pulling at you from every direction, and you're reacting to circumstance, you're reacting to situation, as opposed to leading with presence and intention. That's what balance looks like for most people. They're like, oh, I have to be balanced, so I need an equal and level distribution of time and energy for all of these things. But that's just mediocre. That's why so many people are struggling. That's why people feel scattered. That's why people are burning themselves out. That's why people are overweight. That's why people have broken relationships, not only with other people, but themselves. You need structural, intentional imbalance in your life in order for you to make meaningful progress in your life as a whole. So now, let's use that same analogy. You have the 4 buckets, 4 quadrants: work, social, health, family, okay? Everyone has a family. Everyone has parents. Everyone has someone in their life that maybe they're not exactly family, but they're close enough, okay? Even if you've come from a really traumatic, shit fucking upbringing, there's one person, at least in your life, that you consider your family. A mentor, a guide, some parental figure, okay? So there are no excuses there, and it's about awareness. It's about just take a moment and think. If you come from that kind of upbringing where you didn't have a mom or dad. Maybe you were in foster care. I don't know. But there are some people that have that overlapping role in your life. And it's about getting clarity on who those people are. So, life should operate like this. You have your 4 quadrants. You have your capacity. You don't want to be overflowing, right? Because we've established that when things are overflowing, you're not actually at your best. You're constantly scrambling to catch up. You're constantly overwhelmed by the unwavering, relentless, omnipresent fucking to-do list of shit that is life, okay? And let me tell you something. That's never, ever, ever gonna give up. There's always more stuff than you can actually do in a day. This is the way it fucking works. So let's say, and I'll just use this on a kind of a structural note here. I advocate that health and wellness be as close to a 10 consistently at all times. Because if it isn't, you are compromising your ability to show up in the remaining 3 buckets. Health and wellness should be a 10 all the time. All the time. Intentionally, by design, incorporating movement, focusing on nutrition, sleep, rest, recovery, supplementation. Okay, without that structure dialed in, you will never, ever, ever, ever have the capacity to live up to your potential. Never. Now, there are outliers to this, there are exceptions to this, okay? But we're not focused on the anomalies here. We're focused on the generalization, the reality. And that, for most people, like 99% of people, need vitality in their life in order to achieve and function in the way that they want to function, in the way that they want to show up for themselves and the people around them, right? But it has to start with you. You can't give to the world and expect for you to be able to continue giving if you're not taking care of yourself. And you'll see over time that all of your gifts, all of your generosity will actually diminish as you diminish. So you need to recharge, you need to activate, you need to move, you need to breathe, you need to rest, you need to sleep. This is primary, this is number 1 foundation. So, vitality should be as close to 10 as humanly possible, permanently. So then let's take those other 3 buckets. Let's say you're on vacation, right? What is the purpose of a vacation? The purpose of a vacation is to disconnect from your work, to recharge your body, your mind, your spirit in a way that's going to give you the capacity to refuel so that when you get back to work, you are actually able to be productive. Not just sitting there, waking up for 4 hours after your 19th coffee or your 47th Red Bull or 900 milligrams of Adderall or modafinil or whatever the fuck. You know, that's not living, that's compensating, that's setting yourself up for failure in the long term. It may have short-term benefits, but we're not here to talk about short-term anything. We're here to talk about 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of life. So you're on vacation. Let's assume you have a family. So family is going to be at a 10. Health and wellness, maybe you're relaxing a little bit, you know, maybe it's like an 8 or a 9, or hopefully it's still a 10. There's really no reason that it shouldn't be a 10. Work should be at a 0 or at a 1. Maybe you're job requires, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're never off. That's fine. But your workload should be dramatically reduced. It should be at a 1, it should be at a 0. Right? So family's at a 10, health and wellness is like at an 8, 9, maybe hopefully a 10. Work should be at like a 1 or a 0, ideally. And social, well, if you're there with your family, then social is really at a 0, you know? But if you're there with a group, maybe social is at a 5, and you know, you play around with these intentionally by design. But you cannot operate in life successfully where every bucket is overflowing at a 10. You will burn yourself out. You're going to be producing mediocre work. Your connections will suffer. Your relationship with yourself will suffer. And your family will suffer. Okay? And you're just kidding yourself if you think you can operate in life at a 10 completely. And that's, you know, balance. But maybe it's not all at 10. Maybe it's at 5. Every bucket's flowing at 5. 5? 5? Come on. Where are you going to get to in life at 5? 5 doesn't even make sense. 5 is like you got maybe a little bit of gas going, but you're staring out in fucking 10 different directions. 5 is confusing. 5 is lack of presence. 5 is just mediocre. Fine, my life is fine. There's no joy, there's no pep, there's no vitality, there's nothing. It's just flat. It's like you're closer to death than you are life in that situation. So you get my point. Then you're back home from this vacation, right? So you're back in the swing of things. Fitness hopefully is back to 10. Then you have work. So your work is going to be whatever it is that it's going to be. Maybe it's a 9, maybe it's a 10, you know, depending on what kind of projects you have going on. Maybe work for you is more like a 7 in general, but then there's bigger projects that require more time, more cognitive ability. So then you boost it up to 10. But something has to give. Maybe you're really socially active. And for you, social connection, just like everyone, it's extremely important. But again, you can't be at a 10 in every element of your life. It's something to consider. So being intentionally imbalanced will actually drive your capacity for growth, will get you to where you want to be. It's all by design. You're not sacrificing anything because you're choosing where you're investing your time so that you can show up at your best, and even more so. And I mean more so in that you can actually challenge yourself to the point where you need to be so that you can actually grow, right? Which is our journey of life. And the reality is, and this is going to sound harsh, but you're either growing or you're dying. That's it. It's true in business, it's true in life, period. You're either growing or you're dying. No one really has a choice in the matter. Two things: growth or death. And I know that sounds harsh, but it is harsh. Life is harsh. Life is challenging. And when you know where you're going, you have your values locked in, which is what I'm going to bring up next, everything becomes easier. Everything becomes simpler. It doesn't mean that challenge isn't there. It doesn't mean that shitty days aren't going to happen. It doesn't mean that every night from here on out it's going to be a 10 on 10 on your fucking sleep score. Okay? Life happens. This curriculum, this framework meets you where you're at and fits into real life. It's tested, it's refined, it's effective, and it gets you to where you want to go. The efficacy of a curriculum, guided, coached with accountability and structure, is the fastest way to close the gap between where you are now and where you know you're capable of going. After Vitality, we lock in our core values. This is everything. This is the second foundation to life. Operating with a hierarchy of values, and it's a process. It's the most intensive process in this framework, because you really got to go deep and you got to get real clarity on the structure in which you are going to show up and filter every choice, every decision, every action that is aligned to your values. If you don't do this, you get burnout. You get overwhelmed constantly by life. You get pulled and pushed into different directions that only cost you and don't enrich you. And you tend to not realize what's happening until it's too late. This is true for career choices. This is true for partnerships. This is true for decisions that sound good in the moment, but then come back to bite you in the fucking ass later when things have settled. When you operate from your values, all of that goes away. And there's a hierarchy to values, because it's inevitable that the values that you choose are going to be in conflict at times. So you know definitively what takes precedent, unequivocally, in your life. And it's a process. It's a process that takes time. And in my coaching program, we meet once a week for an hour, and the values work could take 3 weeks. And it's the thing that we want to ensure that we get right, because it's the foundation for growth. It is literally the thing that supports everything that comes next. So choosing your values, having the right number of them, is key. You don't want a list of 10 values. You don't want a list of 20 values. Those are not values. Those are preferences. There's a key distinction between a preference and a value that you're willing to give something up for because it takes precedent in your life. Maximum 5 values. 3 to 5 values is the sweet spot. Values are not preferences. If you have too many, they are preferences. Like, there's a big difference between a real need and a want. Getting clear on that through a process, a collaborative process to drive clarity in what that means to you in your life, gets you the result that you need in order to build sustainable momentum for decades. Values aren't things that you just change with every season. Now, it's very true that values can evolve over time, and they should, but they shouldn't in weekly increments, monthly increments, yearly increments. These are values that you lock into a philosophical approach to life. And the compounding nature of operating from your values is what drives that momentum and that clarity and that sense of just deep relax in your body, in your mind. After we get clear on values, we move to mindset. Mindset is a fascinating topic in psychology because, well, the relationship that we have to ourselves, the relationship that exists internally, is a make or break on how we show up externally to the world. Whoa, getting back up the mountain here. So mindset is the relationship that you have with yourself. It's the way you handle rejection. It's the way you handle adversity, challenge. It's the way you handle loss. It's the way you handle your capacity for growth. We tend to focus on a transformational practice of becoming oriented towards perpetual growth and anti-fragility. Anti-fragility is truly an enlightened state. And very basically, it means that no matter what happens extrinsically, it doesn't change what's happening intrinsically. Words, actions, circumstance, situation, all of these things do not affect our internal relationship with ourselves. And because of that, the way in which we show up for our family, for our coworkers, for our parents, etc., for our kids, obviously. After mindset, we move into educating ourselves on time management and prioritization. Everybody gets 24 hours in a day, but your 24 hours is very different than mine. Beyonce's is very different than yours and mine, you know? There's no comparison in terms of the way in which people choose to show up and leverage time. Time is a leverageable asset. Time is either your greatest friend or your greatest foe. We'll take a little scenic break here. Woo. I wonder, can you see the volcano? Where is it? I can't really see in this tiny screen behind me, but it's there. Full of snow. Time management and prioritization. Understanding the structures that are going to serve you. So important, because it is the thing that is going to drive your capacity to get what you want done while enriching your life, not just a grind. Everybody loves to talk about this, you know, it's like, oh man, grind culture, this, that, anything, burnout. Dude, this is a shit fucking life. And only do you realize this, but like 20 years too late. The outcome of time management and prioritization is effectively slowing time down. Less is more. Quality over quantity. Using discernment to choose what it is that's going to propel you forward. There's a little bit more education in this particular course because I think, well, it's been my experience that people don't really have a complete idea of what time is, how to leverage it properly, and then just the reality of having to make choices. But then you realize if you've done the values work, those choices are clear. And those choices aren't really even choices. They're more like the obvious thing to do. And when you're in that state, when you're flowing like that, You're not overwhelmed. You're not stressed. You organize your life in a way that drives momentum forward, drives presence, drives awareness, drives the quality of your relationships. After time management prioritization, we're focusing on aligned action. So if you've been following along, you can see how things are compounding on each other. You wouldn't start with aligned action. Aligned action to what? What are you aligning your actions to? So, you're aligning your actions to your values. You're leveraging your understanding of time and prioritization, and you're aligning your actions to your values. Whew. And once that happens, your ambition links up with your purpose, and vice versa. And this idea of feeling motivated to start, goes away. Right? Because ultimately, people who are operating from motivation are not operating from clarity. They're ping-ponging between not feeling ready to do the thing and feeling ready to do the thing. But that's not going to get you anywhere quickly. That's not going to get you anywhere effectively. That's really not going to get you very far at all. Because it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Whew. After aligned action, we drop into optimization and refinement. This is what we just went live on yesterday. Part of our content rhythm, part of the curriculum, the teaching framework. So again, just thanks so much for everybody that dropped in for the training and coaching session. And just to remind you, there's an opportunity for group coaching that we do every Thursday. We start with a seminar or a training on that particular topic, and then we move into supporting people on that particular topic. And you do not need to start at week 1 for this to be effective. Just being part of this group can create breakthroughs for you, can start to fuel that transformation that you know you're capable of achieving for yourself. Optimization and refinement is truly the magic unlock to all of this, because it allows you to focus on the things that are going to amplify your efforts and create more compounding force for you in your life. And it's applicable to all areas of life. Those 4 quadrants, your inner ecosystem. After optimization and refinement, we get to commencement, or the totality of the integration of the system itself as a lived identity, a philosophy that you built, that you created for yourself, based on what it is that you want to achieve in this life, based on how you choose to show up for yourself, based on the relationship that you have with yourself throughout this process. And then ultimately, leveraging the optimization and refinement practice, the cycle repeats. You have the affirmations of your values that you practice every day. You have a clarity practice to generate what you're going to do over the next 60, 100, 90 days, 365 days, 5 years, 10 years. It's an amazingly powerful pattern of life that you can create intentionally through this structure, through the framework. It's not easy, but the outcome of the work is so profound in its capacity to regulate your nervous system, to choose with intention, to create. You know, we were created by something, whatever that is for you. God, Mother Nature, reincarnation. I mean, whatever. I'm not here to say anything about that. But what I can say is that something created us. You know? And disconnect that from our experience of life is really, again, leaving so much on the table. And I will leave you with this today. You are your purpose. You are the driving force of your life. It's not your job. It's not your wife. It's not your kids. It's not your addiction to making money. The relationship that you have with yourself is your purpose in life. And that can be interpreted in many different ways based on your religious background or whatever, you know? But at the end of the day, it's all about you. It's all about you. How you show up with yourself. And in turn, that relationship is then put out extrinsically and is the way that you show up with literally everything else. This fucking rock, okay? That tree, the ocean, all of the people that you interact with on a daily basis, everything. You are your purpose. I want you to take action today. I want you to take action in this moment, not for anyone else but you. Do it now. Take action now. Create a sense of urgency in the capacity that you create for yourself in personal development. Do it now. Click the link below. Sign up for Everyday Action Live on Thursday. There's no cost for doing this. All it requires is for you to take action. Click the link, put your name, put your email, show up on Thursday. Do it now. Take action now. That is the only way things are starting to move forward for you. Do not wait. Take action now. Because if you don't, it's not going to happen. It will never happen until you choose to take action. Do it now. Do it now. Take action now. Go for a walk around the block. Choose to eat something healthy instead of not. Tell your partner that you love them. Embrace your children. Take action now. Do the thing right fucking now. Pick up the phone. Call the person that you know you need to call. Do it now. Don't wait. It's okay if they don't pick up. Do it now. Take action now. Do it now. Because if you don't do it now, it's never going to happen. We are all presented with these moments, these opportunities. And those who win at life, they take action now. They get information. They're able to pivot. Take action now. Thank you so much for dropping in and hanging out with me on this gorgeous Friday. The sun is out. I hope this is an inspiration and that you have created value in this conversation for yourself. I've provided you with some opportunities that you should take action now on. Even a simple like of this video, subscribe, a comment, anything that creates momentum in your life, in your journey towards the person you know you're capable of becoming. Take action now. Just do it now. I hope to see you on Thursday. You can join me for more private conversation inside our community. I respond to everybody's questions. I'm there showing up for you. This is what I do. I've lived through the burnout. This curriculum was 9 years in development. It's been tested, it's been refined, it's been implemented. My clients are creating breakthroughs for themselves. We also have a self-paced course that you can check out if you're into self-paced education. It's not easy. Most people who buy courses never actually do anything with them. Don't fall into that statistic. Don't just let a little bit of motivation get you going and then the floor just drops out in front of you. Because we don't operate on motivation. We operate on clarity, structure, and momentum. Thanks so much for dropping in. See you on Thursday. And if not, catch me on Instagram and every Friday on YouTube. Peace out.